So we bought what might be the most universal, versatile machine you can find in the compact market. This is a JCB 1CXT. It is basically a tracked compact loader with a backhoe attached to it. Shares many features of a skid steer, but it's also got some features of a mini excavator, backhoe, whatever you want to call it. Has a side shift backhoe, so that backhoe can slide side to side, or it can fold tight like it is now. So I bought this machine to basically add like a second skid steer to my fleet of equipment. So let's just do a little bit of walk around with it. And so under the hood, we've got a 49 horsepower Perkins diesel, and as with almost all JCB stuff, it does not have any exhaust after treatment, no emissions equipment. They are able to make these machines to the point where it doesn't need it. It runs clean enough. Really easy to get to your air cleaner, oil dipstick, coolant reservoir. Got an oil filter down there, and I don't know where the fuel filter is. I'm assuming you raise this loader arm up and you can take these side panels off, but really easy to work on for how compact it is. In the front, you have your standard skid steer quick coupler. You've got standard flow hydraulics on this side, and you also have your high flow with a case drain. Does not have the electrical connector. That's a little bit of a downfall for me. Over here, your battery's under here, your battery cutoff. It's all the behind your dash is under this cover as well, so you can get into everything real easily. You'll notice the stabilizers for the backhoe are vertical. Honestly, the machine's pretty stable. You don't really need them, but you know, it does keep you planted, so good idea to use them. You can also see that the backhoe is an extendable dipper, and like almost every extendable dipper, it has drifted down. Nice side door access. Real easy to get into like most JCB stuff. And you got a swivel seat like a backhoe would have. So this is your forward operating position. This would be your drive controls like a skid steer. That one would be your loader controls. It'll lock in this like halfway position, and you can also operate it from this position. It'll also lock fully spun around, and that is your backhoe control position. So as far as room in the cab, I'm 6'4". I don't have a ton of room in here, but I'm not uncomfortable. We'll put it that way. So we'll start down here. You have your pattern changer right here inside the cab. So it makes it really easy if you have different operators. They're on different controls. I run backhoe controls. A lot of guys run excavator. These are your outrigger controls. Down, you pull it towards you, goes down. Pull it up, goes up. This is your slide lock for the boom. I'll demonstrate that a little later, but it's basically a hydraulic brake. So you pull that up and it'll release the hydraulic rollers, and it allows the boom to slide back and forth. And over here you have a diverter valve to run if you want to run like a hammer, or to put it to bi-directional for your auxiliary hydraulics on the boom. Over here we've got a really simple dashboard. Standard JCB key, temp gauge, hour gauge, parking brake. This is your, I guess it'd be your position selector. So you flip this switch up if you want to run the front loader, flip it back to run the backhoe. This is your auxiliary switch. So without this on, your auxiliary hydraulics will not work. Your auxiliary hydraulics are controlled by this proportional switch. Beacon light, work lights. This is your switch for the auxiliary hydraulics on the boom or the extendable dipper. So right now it's pushed down for the extendable dipper. You flip it up if you want to run an auger or hammer or whatever. And your windshield wiper for the back. Outside the cab here, you have your fuel gauge. You can visibly see this from inside the cab. It's just the windows are a little bit condensated up right now. And again, we're spun around the front ways. Like I said, I'm 6'4", plenty of room in here. You have a throttle pedal, your HVAC controls, you got air conditioning, 3 fan speeds, and your temperature control. Also a 12-volt outlet. You got defroster vents front and back. You got this one here, and you got this one back here. Plus you have plenty of side vents here. That's your high flow switch. That's like a neutral position. Click that down, it'll turn it on, and it's constant flow. Click it back up to shut it off and reset it. This switch here is like a priority valve, I guess. Basically, the machine, since it's only got 49 horsepower, it's not exactly a powerhouse. So they've got this here, and this will kind of, so whatever you're doing, this will prioritize the power. So if you're just doing pallet work, like moving stuff around where you gotta be really precise and you want to be really gentle, you crank it all the way to the right. If you're moving material, scooping into piles where you want a little bit less stall control, you put it into the pile, into the center section. And if you're just trying to travel and get better ground speed, you turn it over here to the travel position and it'll move quicker and there's no stall control at all. So we'll fire it up here. It's about 35 degrees out, so turn it on. It doesn't even hesitate. And like I said, it's 35 degrees out. Not super cold, but cold enough. We'll just shut the door here, make it a little quieter. Okay, so now that you're in here, if you want to operate the machine, think of it like an excavator or a skid steer where you gotta put the lap bar down. Right now, every control of this machine is dead besides stabilizers. They're the only things that are alive all the time. So if you want to operate the machine, you push this left button here, and I'll show you. You just click that, and you're good. So that when that goes, that'll turn this green indicator light on. Green indicator light here basically makes everything live. So right now, when I pull this lever back, you see we got the boom going up and all your hydraulics are live now. This also unlocks the travel. Now, you watch the green light, we're going to push this lever forward, spin around, so the green light just went off. So now, while we're spinning around, we're in this 3/4 position here. So it won't let you do it here. You got to turn. And now, click the green button, the green light comes on, and now your backhoe is live. So now you can bring this dipper in, bring it all back up. So that pretty much sums up the operation and just a little bit short walk around and such of the machine. I'm gonna let this warm up for a little bit. We got a couple things to do around the shop here. I have used this machine. I've owned it for, I don't know, a month or so. I've used it a couple times, and it's like I figure it's useful enough to me that I should put a video on it because there's not a whole lot of information on these machines. So this is the front bucket that they come factory with. I'm not really a big fan of this design. This is more of like what you'd find on a compact tractor. Real tall back, short bottom. I don't feel like it's a very good design. So you got a good look at that. I'll go over here. This is the bucket that comes on a skid steer. Come off my JCB 150T. You can see it's got a longer bottom. It's about the same height, but it's got a longer bottom on it. The longer bottom on the bucket is going to help you hold grade a lot better. So I think I'm going to put this bucket on to use it on the machine, just because I'm used to working with that bucket. I feel like the reason they use this shorter bottom bucket is because the machine itself is kind of long. It's a lot longer than a skid steer. So I think they're trying to shorten the machine up by putting a shorter bottom bucket on. And the other thing is the 1CXT does not have a whole lot of lift height. So if you're trying to dump into like a single axle dump truck, or it will reach over the sides of my tandem, but the pins are right above the rails, and I don't have sideboards on this truck, so like you're not going to load a tall truck with it. So if you put a long bottom bucket on it, you're not going to be able to load this truck efficiently. So that may be another reason why they use such a short bottom bucket. So while the machine's warming up, I want to show you one of the projects I want to work on with this. This is my barn. Unfortunately, we had to put our steer down, but we're going to get some more animals here soon. But I want to, I don't know how much of this I'm going to do with this machine, but I got this little part that I want to do with it. So there's this ramp. It's kind of hard to see, and I don't like the ramp. So what I'm going to do is eventually I want to run blocks out that way and make the barnyard come out and 90 degree down this way. But what I'd like to do for now is I'd like to dig this area out, because there's a lot of like round rocks in here, and I want to just rough this area in, dig it out, and pull it down the hill. Going back to the Stone Age without a power coupler. First, I think we're going to flip this manure pile over to the side, give us a little more room to work. This out, and we're probably gonna have to use the backhoe part for this, but we'll scrape what we can with the front loader. say that did a decent job. I mean, I'm not worried about getting it perfect right now because I got to do a lot more digging here and grading. And I mean, this soil is kind of rough to work with. There's a lot of round rocks in it, and the bucket just jumped over it. So I'll do all this with an excavator, but I just wanted to try her out, and it seems to be working pretty good. It's controllable enough that you can get up close to the building without damaging anything, which is nice because I don't really want to dent my barn. But I need to rake all that out by hand anyway because I just can't get in there. So I just added this whole section of pasture, and actually I used that. I should have filmed it, but I didn't. But I put my auger on the backhoe of that, the 1CXT here, and that was really neat because you can actually drive that machine facing the backhoe. So I was able to side shift the hoe all the way one side and run my auger that way. But so overall, this is a pretty handy machine to have around. Like any backhoe, it's not really a good excavator, and it's not really a good, in this case, skid steer. But it'll do both things, and if you only need one machine, or if you can only afford one machine, this might be a good option for you. The visibility is really great out of this machine. You can see very well because you sit up kind of high. If you notice like how high the seat is, it's about 4 foot off the ground. It does handle side slopes pretty good too. The backhoe is pretty handy. The machine is about 8 foot tall, so it is kind of on the tall side. The sliding backhoe is pretty neat. I mean, it's nice that you can move the arm out of your visibility if it's in the way, and you can also fold it tight so you're smaller like a skid steer. Overall, I think it's a pretty well built machine. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to end up keeping this or not. I was kind of hoping for more skid steer functionality, and you know, without having that electrical plug, I can't run my power rake. So that's kind of a bit of a problem. So I think at this point I'm going to end the video here. I don't really have much more to do with this machine, and it is currently listed for sale. I am looking for another skid steer, and like I said, this doesn't really do skid steer stuff as good as it should. I mean, it'll get you by, and it still floats nice and grades nice and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it is still a backhoe. So, but anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer, and we'll catch you on the next one.